On the 22nd of May, India's Prime Minister Mr. Modi visited Papua New Guinea, a Pacific Rim nation situated north of Australia. Prime Minister James Marape received Prime Minister Modi at the airport and, in a surprising move, touched his feet in the traditional Indian gesture of respect to elders. It's surprising to note and interesting to note that Prime Minister Modi's visit to the nation for the third FIPIC summit, which was being planned for nearly a year, almost never happened because of a serious breach of diplomatic protocol forced upon Papua New Guinea by the United States. The US President Mr. Biden inserted himself into the event and then eventually pulled out essentially at the last moment. Please subscribe and let's find out what happened. So, Mr. Modi's objective for visiting Papua New Guinea was to attend the FIPIC summit. What is FIPIC? It's the Forum for India-Pacific Islands Cooperation. It's a multinational grouping that was established in 2014 by Prime Minister Modi. The objective of this grouping of nations is to foster cooperation between India and 14 Pacific Island countries. Countries such as the Cook Islands, Fiji, Kiribati, the Marshall Islands, Micronesia, Nauru, Niue, Palau, Papua New Guinea, Samoa, Solomon Islands, Tonga, Tuvalu, and Vanuatu. So these nations have large and resource-rich exclusive economic zones, EEZs. Except for Papua New Guinea, these are all tiny, almost powerless nations in the geopolitical context. They have tiny populations and tiny militaries. Their militaries are essentially just like police forces. So these nations are tiny nations which have immense oceanic resources and other kinds of resources. And these islands are located in an increasingly strategically important region, the South Pacific, the Pacific Ocean region. Now, India wants to invest in key sectors in these nations: oil and gas, pharmaceuticals, education, fisheries, mining, food, fertilizers, space, industry, sugar, minerals, ores, information technology, solar energy, hydroelectricity, defense cooperation, agriculture, and much more. So FIPIC is about promoting India's strategic and commercial interests in ways that are mutually beneficial for India as well as for the Pacific Island nations. It's about creating a free, open, and inclusive Indo-Pacific region. It's about positioning India as a viable, benevolent, non-threatening alternative to China and also possibly to the USA. It's also interesting to note that Mr. Xi Jinping, China's president, visited Fiji 2 days after Prime Minister Modi visited it in 2014 for the first FIPIC summit. So we are witnessing an emerging tussle between China and India and, of course, the United States, which is the traditional hegemonic power in the region. So FIPIC is part of India's Act East initiative. So let's understand the timeline of FIPIC. So on the 19th of November 2014, Prime Minister Modi visited Fiji. The capital of Fiji is Suva. And this was the first visit by the Indian Prime Minister to Fiji since Prime Minister Indira Gandhi visited in 1981. So Prime Minister Modi, during this visit to Fiji, met the heads of state from 14 Pacific Island states. So this was the inaugural FIPIC summit. And during this summit, Prime Minister Modi proposed a forum for India-Pacific Islands cooperation, which is now called FIPIC. And he proposed that a summit of this multilateral organization should be held on a regular basis. So the first summit was in 2014, a few months after Prime Minister Modi became the Prime Minister of India. The second summit was held in August 2015. It was held in Jaipur in India. During the summit, Prime Minister Modi said that the Pacific Island nations are large ocean countries and not small island states. Mr. Modi said that the India-FIPIC relationship is a partnership of equals. He said that India is proud to be your development partner. You can count on India to be a reliable partner. We are ready to share our experiences and capabilities with you without hesitation. He said that we believe in multilateralism and we support a free, open, and inclusive Indo-Pacific. So that was the second summit. After that, there was a significant hiatus, which was exacerbated by the coronavirus pandemic and all that. And the third summit was to be held on the 22nd of May 2023, this year, in Port Moresby, the capital of Papua New Guinea. And this was to be co-hosted by India and Papua New Guinea, essentially to be co-hosted by Prime Minister Modi and the Papua New Guinea Prime Minister, Mr. James Marape. This was going to be the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to the island nation. So Papua New Guinea is India's biggest trade partner among the FIPIC nations. If you see the map, you can see it's a reasonably large nation. It's the largest FIPIC nation. It has more than 600 islands. It contains the world's third largest rainforest. It has more than 45,000 kilometers of coral reefs. Papua New Guinea is one of the most unexplored countries on the planet. It's a very underdeveloped nation. Electricity and running water are still not readily available to all people, and it's a very resource-rich nation, full of minerals and oil and gas and copper and gold and such like. So India seeks to make large investments in this nation. So this summit, the third summit, was planned for a very long time, nearly a year. And Prime Minister Modi's visit was going to be accompanied by a high-level business delegation, Indian business delegation to Papua New Guinea. Now, in early May, it emerged that the US President Biden had decided to gate-crash the FIPIC summit. Mr. Biden announced that he would visit Papua New Guinea on the same day as the summit, 22nd of May, and he would visit for only 3 hours. And Mr. Biden also instructed the prime ministers of Australia and New Zealand to visit Papua New Guinea on the same day, the 22nd of May. So as a consequence of this, what was meant to be a full day summit, FIPIC summit, between the Indian Prime Minister and the heads of state of the Pacific Islands became only a 90-minute event. And because of this, Prime Minister Modi's visit came under doubt. Now, the Indian media naturally accused Papua New Guinea of poor diplomatic behavior and of breaching important diplomatic protocols, which obviously is correct. And the Indian media said that Papua New Guinea offered Prime Minister Modi a secondary status compared to US President Biden. They said that Papua New Guinea agreed to allow Biden to gate crash the FIPIC summit for unknown reasons. Now let's examine this in a realistic manner. Did Papua New Guinea have any choice? Imagine you're a small-time businessman. Your name is James. You're James, you're a small-time businessman. Your business is not doing great and you desperately need investments. Now your rich friend Narendra offers to invest in your business. He says, let's meet at your place for dinner on the 22nd of May at 7 p.m., let's say. And let's finalize the investment over dinner. So if you are James, it's wonderful news, you are overjoyed. And then you, James, you receive a phone call from the biggest mafia gangster in town. His name is Joe. Joe says, I'm coming over for dinner. I'm inviting myself to your house on the 22nd of May, 7 p.m. And I'm going to bring 2 of my minions with me, your neighbors, Australia and New Zealand. And I look forward to your hospitality. I look forward to a great dinner. I'm going to take care of you, James. I'm going to make sure you don't get hurt by nobody. And then Joe hangs up. So what will James do in this situation? What choice does he have? Can the little